squeaky chair. Okay, it is time. It's time to make the video that I've been threatening to do for quite a while, but I've been putting it off because, if I'm honest, it feels quite awkward. And recently I've done a few videos, I think I've done 3 in total so far, on leadership tips of the day, just very simple tips from my experience on things that can make you a better leader or become an effective leader. And I mentioned a number of times as well, and if you see my previous videos you will know, and you've probably seen this award, because back in October 2021, I'm losing track of the years already, I was so proud to receive the Factory Manager of the Year award from the Grocer Gold Awards, which was for me an amazing achievement and my proudest moment of my career. And the other thing that I'd said in a number of those videos, that at some point I'll give an overview of my career. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I don't write scripts. I do have some notes here, but I'm not that disciplined that I write and follow scripts because I just find it so tedious and boring. So I prefer to do things off the cuff, which means that you sometimes say too much, but I'm prepared to live with that. So here it is, my video giving an overview of my career, and a career that led up to me winning this award. And I think it's important to note at this stage that I was not, by any stretch of the imagination, born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Where I've got to nowadays, or where I've got to now, is down to hard work and some great support from other great leaders that have been around me throughout my career and supported me on that journey. But I did just want to go over that journey and also highlight the things that work for me. So it's not a video to promote or prune my ego, it really is a story. And if as part of that story it helps people on their journeys, then that's even better and fantastic. So here we go. Growing up, I'll post a little picture, or a picture, of the little house that I grew up in with my mom. My father died when I was 4, which was, sad, but Mom did an amazing job of bringing up myself, my brother and my sister in what was a poor environment. And when I say poor, I mean from a financial point of view, because when it came to love, morals, guidance, and just the compass and the rules by which to live your life, I considered us to be really, really rich and quite wealthy in that. But financially, we were really poor. And Mom's lessons to us as children, or messages to us, that it doesn't cost anything to be clean, it doesn't cost anything to be polite, kind to people, and show respect for people. So those were broadly the rules which we were brought up on. And there was never any real expectation or challenge or drive from her to go and do well in a career and earn as much money as you can. That's just not how she lived her life, and it's not the life she wanted for us. The important thing was that we were those things that I mentioned plus happy. So I think she did a great job of laying down the foundations for life, but also sharing the landscape and the rules by which we needed to operate on and within. So that's just very brief background of growing up. School-wise, I think it's fair to say I didn't warm to education, and it's only in the latter years that I've realised that I just don't do classroom learning. It's not an environment that I enjoy. I struggle to concentrate. If you look through my school results, there was sometimes some positives around effort, but in terms of the main constant thing that kept jumping out was, Brian needs to concentrate more. And it's still the case to this day, all those years on. And so, I don't think I had any of the modern day illnesses that spoken about now. I just didn't concentrate. I didn't enjoy the classroom environment, and I attended school, but that was about it. And when I left school, then this will again in the modern day sound quite bizarre, but bearing in mind it was 1984 when I left school. My teacher took me to one side, and he remember this very, very clearly. His actual words to me were, Jones, the best advice I can give you is to don't bother taking your exams. Leave now, get yourself out there and get a job before all of the clever kids take those jobs. And to be quite honest, I didn't need telling twice. I thought it was great advice. You wouldn't get away with it nowadays, but as I said, I didn't need telling twice. And so I grabbed my stuff, I got out, I didn't take any exams. And to be honest, if I did, I wouldn't have done very well in them because I just didn't absorb information by sitting in a classroom. I guess I'm what you'd call more of a practical learner. Well, that's what would call me, a practical learner. I like to do stuff. And so that was all well and good, but bearing in mind, whilst Mom had set these rules out around cleanliness, kindness, it was equally important that you earn your way in life. So she was very clear and very determined and very adamant that I would get a job. And so I set off on my push bike and going around all the local places asking if they got jobs going. And I think it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon that I pulled up on my push bike at this factory, asked them if they got any jobs going, and they had got positions on the youth training scheme. Those of a certain age will remember the youth training scheme. You earned £25 a week, and in most cases you were taken advantage of in terms of the jobs that you were given. But I felt very lucky and fortunate. The factory that I got this job at was one that was prepared to invest in you and develop you in the skills of the manufacturing operation. So yeah, it wasn't a great deal of money, £25 a week, but an opportunity to get my foot in the door, pay my, what did they call them? What do you pay when you pay your parents? I forget, your lodgings, your board, I think it was board. And yeah, Mom took £12.50 of my 25 quid a week, which felt harsh at the time, but now I understand. And I'm not going to go through every single job that I did because I did progress in the normal way from operator to team leader to supervisor, etc., etc. But I didn't actually start on my management journey for 11 years. And that didn't really matter at the age of 16 because I'd left school without any qualifications, and I was clear in my mind I was going to be a rock star. And I did spend a long period of time singing in a rock band, but seeing as you've never heard of me in the music world, that would suggest and confirm that I didn't make it as a rock star. And after 11 years of working in a factory as a machine operator, a very good machine operator I might add, and the music career had not necessarily failed but dwindled out, and I wasn't a global rock star. And I really thought I needed to knuckle down a bit and try and forge a career in the only area that I knew, which was in food manufacturing within a factory. So between the point of realizing that music wasn't going to make me rich and famous, and I'd become quite bored of working as an operator. I had become bored of working as an operator, but equally, if I'm honest, one of the things that really irritated me was working for some managers, some supervisors who just didn't listen to me. I thought as an operator on my machine, I knew what I was doing, I knew how to improve things, and I knew how to do things well. But I was really, really frustrated by managers and so-called leaders who just wouldn't listen. They made all the decisions, and that was quite frustrating because a lot of those decisions were either bad, wrong, and yeah, it was irritating. And I was that annoyed and frustrated, it actually drove me into developing myself within this company. And I joined the operator development scheme, which meant you went around and learned all the jobs. And from there started my successful career in food manufacturing management. So how did I go from waking up at that period of my life and going, I don't want to be a machine operator anymore, I'm going to develop, to the point where I eventually became a factory general manager, and as I say, in 2021 won the Factory Manager of the Year, which was across the whole of the UK and across all of the food and drinks manufacturing companies. So quite a lot of competition. So how did somebody that left school without any qualifications and any real prospects wake up one morning and go, right, I'm going to forge a career? Now, I couldn't tell you the exact detail, and I couldn't give you the exact dates and times and things that happened, but there are a few things that stand out in my mind that worked for me, and I genuinely believe these were the things that made a difference in terms of enabling me to forge a career in food manufacturing management. So what should we talk about next? What would I advise if you wanted to progress in your career? And I say that quite openly because I don't think it's just about food manufacturing. I think it's about any management position or any leadership role. So in no particular order, and I'm going to have to look at my notes here, say yes to every opportunity. And I certainly did that. In the first few years, I found myself working through the summer on a 2-10 shift, doing a supervisory role purely because nobody else wanted to do the 2-10 shift in the summer. And why would you? But the benefit that gave me is, one, it showed my commitment to wanting to develop. It also gave me a long period of time to fast track in the supervisory role. And I think the most important thing is that there was a saying and a famous quote once, you miss 100% of the goals that you never take. And that for me really, really resonates, because if you don't say yes to every opportunity that comes your way, the opposite is true. If you say no, guaranteed you will not progress, you will not develop that experience, and you will not be seen as being committed to your career. Now there is a risk to that, because people can take advantage and abuse of somebody that just says yes to everything and will commit to anything. But for me, that worked really, really well. So put yourself out. The short-term pain will deliver long-term gain. So put yourself out and demonstrate your commitment to want to learn, develop, and grow. Watch others and learn from them, the good and the bad. And I remember 3 very memorable managers here. I won't give their names, but they were very different in their approach. And there were 3 shift managers, so they covered around the clock, and I worked for each one of those as they rotated round. And you very quickly observed their strengths, but also their weaknesses. But the wonderful thing was that each one of those 3 managers were very different, but as a team they complemented each other perfectly. So not one of them was perfect, but as a team they covered all the bases. And I watched them very closely, taking the bits. I always thought of myself as a bit of a Frankenstein's monster when it came to development. So you watch them closely, you take the bits that work and you can see that they work, and you fine-tune those for yourself. But equally and as importantly, look at the bits that they don't do well, and don't adopt those. Make sure that you've got a rubbish bag to put the rubbish traits and behaviours in. Think, okay, that didn't work, I'm not going to have that. These things I like, and I'm going to practice those. And I'm going to become a Frankenstein's monster of each of these 3 managers. So yeah, watch very closely and learn. Not everything you achieve and develop and learn is in the classroom, is on a training course. You watch other people in the field doing their job, and you'll learn lots from that. Take your team with you, because you're nothing without them. I think that's obvious, but again, I see so many people who think they have to have all the answers, they have to make all the decisions. I don't know if it's fear of looking like you're not in control, fear of what you believe to be your leadership responsibilities. And I still see it to this day, people who just want to take control, jump in, and the team just stands back and lets them do it. You carry on. Your team are there for a reason, and your team need you to provide that catalyst for them to be able to enjoy their work, develop at work, and deliver solutions. But it takes a lot of effort, because you need to communicate the strategy to them. You need to communicate to them what you expect of them in terms of their role. And then you need to communicate to them when they've done a great job or not so great job. And throughout all of that, you really need to listen to them. So keep your team close and make sure you take them with you. I wish I'd have done this in a larger font, actually. Look for the positives. They're sometimes hard to find, but negativity will sink you. Sit around, listen to a group of people who just enjoy wallowing in negativity, and ask yourself the question, do you want to be part of that group, or are you going to go and sit and find the positive people? Because life is tough at times, and business is certainly tough. You are faced with many, many challenges. But if you're going to sit around wallowing in negativity, just talking about negativity repeatedly, bringing up the same things without actually getting into the resolution and fixing them, you are going to sink. So look for the positives, create the positives, and when you found those positives, absolutely make sure you promote them. You be the louder voice than the voice of negativity, and that will give you a really good, strong advantage. Smile. God, it's free. It's free, and you loads of studies have been done, and you know this. If you walk past somebody and you smile at them, they will smile back. So in your duty as a leader, be compassionate, be friendly, be happy, and smile. Make your team feel good. Make individuals around you feel good, feel happy and glad to be at work. Smile. It's free. Just do it. Learn and educate yourself, and that's straightforward, and different people will have different ways of learning and developing. As I said, mine isn't about classroom. I'm more of a practical learner, but I also like to spend a lot of time listening. My biggest learnings come from listening to others talk about their problems. And I mean really listening, engaging with that individual or with that team, and demonstrating to them that you are listening, and you'll learn so much more from them that will help you out in the long run. Communicate 360 is my next one. And what I mean by that, I've already talked about the importance of sharing goals, targets, and communicating. I've talked about listening. Communicating 360, what I mean by that is you have your peers, you have your, I ain't going to call them superiors, that's rubbish. You have your line managers, your directors, but you also have your workforce. And if you put all of your efforts into communicating to your directors, to your leaders, because you want to impress them, you may well impress them short term, but there's a group of people here, and your success, your career, your progression relies on your team doing a great job. So you've got to be able to flex your communication and adapt your communication style to talk to your team, your peers, your directors, and the workforce. So really take a long deep breath there and consider how you do that, because one size doesn't fit all. So you're going to have to flex and adapt. And I put at the bottom of that, after communicate 360, respect the needs of your team as much as the needs of your CEO. Just get the balance right. Yeah, good advice. Value diversity. Diversity is really, really important, especially in this day and age, and we're learning so much more about diversity. And this isn't something that I naturally developed, and it's only come in the last 10 years. And I work in a factory where the workforce is very diverse, and at the time that I joined, the management team wasn't, the leadership team wasn't, but it is now. You have to, as a leader, and as a manager and as a management or leadership team, make sure that as a leadership team you represent the dynamics of your workforce. So diversity in leadership, management and thought is really important. One, because it's important for the workforce to be able to look at a leadership team and to be able to relate to them, but also from my own leadership experience, having a leadership team that is diverse in both sex, gender, religion, age, just gives me so much more potential within my team, because I get to listen to different views and different people from different backgrounds who will have different thoughts on problems, they'll have different ideas. And if you link that back to your communication and your ability to listen, you will develop a great team and you'll develop yourself massively. And your ideas, your thoughts on future strategy will go from being contained to this to being endless. So yeah, make sure that you understand and value diversity. But diversity is one thing, inclusivity is the next level. It's all well and good having a diverse team, you've got to include them and you've got to engage them, and that's the real joy, benefit and beauty of having diversity, but bringing the best out of that diversity through inclusivity. And I hope that makes sense. Be yourself. And again, so many times over the years I see people come in off the street into the factory or the place that they work, and because they're a manager, you know, out in the street, you're just another human being, another person who pays their bills, has a house, mows the lawn, cleans the car, brings the kids up. And then you step into this factory role as a manager, and their personalities transform. They think they have to become something completely different because, oh no, now I'm a manager. You know, and yes, your job brings different responsibilities that are required for that day, that week, that month, that year. But your team will see you in a much better light. You will get much more credibility if you are true to yourself, honest, and don't try to be something you're not. It must be so tiring putting that much effort into being something that you're not. So just be yourself. Gratitude all the time, every time. Take the time to stop and think each day and reflect on the experiences that you've had, and do not lose the opportunity to be grateful for the things that have gone your way that day. And sometimes for the things that haven't gone your way, because they will present you with learning opportunities. But always take the time to recognize where you need to be grateful and demonstrate gratitude for the people that have helped you out that day. Do not miss those opportunities. And yeah, gratitude's well known in this day and age to be something that will make you feel better about yourself and make you grow as an individual and as a leader. Care about your team, yourself, your results and your legacy. That really just comes back to compassion. And I think, to be fair, most people that go into leadership roles or management roles do genuinely care about wanting to do a good job. Don't always necessarily show it, or their actions don't manifest in that impression. But they do care. But just make sure that it's not just the targets you care about. It's not just the results. You have to care about the legacy that you're going to leave, so your behavioural imprint on that team and on that factory. And you have to make sure that you care about your team and also yourself. Respect yourself and take care of yourself. Always take that time out to care for every single thing that you do. Nearly at the end now, and if you've seen my other videos, I talk a lot about ego and the limits that it places on us. And we all have ego, especially, if I dare say, I think I can say this because I'm a man, males have egos. And in a lot of the time they drive us and they help us to deliver results. But I think there always has to be that watch out. Don't let your ego get in the way of engaging with your team, of making the right decision. There are things that are bigger and more important than your ego, your reputation. The team is the most important thing. The performance and the longevity of your team and the site that you work at is the most important thing, not your ego. So if you have to bruise your ego from time to time, just let it happen and accept it. And that links to another video that I made on accountability. Accountability is massively important, but I'm not going to talk about it now because I've done another video on it. And the final point, if I was going to point you in the direction of somebody that really, really hits the mark for me with leadership coaching, it's a chap called Professor Damian Hughes. Now, normally, again, I'm probably sounding out of order for saying this, normally when you say Professor Damian Hughes, you think of your old teacher dressed in a suit and very, very serious with a stick at the front of the room. Damian Hughes is not that person. He is, I believe he's a Mancunian, he's very straight talking, and the way he explains leadership is absolutely brilliant. He's a psychologist, I believe he's a sports psychologist. He worked with Sir Alex Ferguson, he's done work with Richard Branson, Manchester United, and he really gets and understands what teams need to perform at their best and what they need from their leaders. And so I will link, he's done a few books and you can find him on YouTube, but I will link my favourite book of his below as part of this. So I've done it. Those are the things that I believe worked really well for me. And, you know, my journey's been a very positive story, a very positive journey. And I genuinely went from somebody who was encouraged to leave school without qualifications to somebody that worked as a factory worker for 11 years. You know, lots of heavy lifting, lots of sweating even. But at that time, at the age of 27, when I wanted to change and I wanted to develop and I wanted to improve myself, all the things that I've mentioned in this video are the things that I believe were the key to me delivering year in, year out success that ultimately rewarded me with the position of factory general manager, and in 2021 factory manager of the year. You know, during that time I've had some great coaches, some great mentors. You can't do it on your own. You need that support mechanism around you, and I suppose mentoring and coaching is for another video. I like to think it's something that I value and I do naturally, but I'm not an expert in telling you what you should do. These are just things that worked well for me. So this is probably going to be my longest YouTube video to date. I really hope it was useful. As I said, I've been threatening to do it for a long time, so I just wanted to get it done this afternoon, and I'll go and do the editing now and see how it comes out. I hope it's useful. Please, as ever, comment below, ask questions. I love having debates over leadership and just sharing other people's experiences, so let's get the conversation going. Thanks very much for watching. Take care, and hopefully see you again soon. Bye bye.